and talking about the Golden State Warriors again, and Scottie Pippen, who obviously we all know was a member of that 95-96 Bulls team that won the 72 games and lost 10 times and set the regular season record for wins, and then obviously went on to win the championship. But when he was asked to talk about the Golden State Warriors, he had some very, very confident remarks to say about if they played them in a 7-game series, how it would end. And he said in short quote, Bulls in 4 games. He knew what he was thinking. He said it straight up quick and didn't hesitate. And then he said, I don't think we take a night off. And that he also believed, that my size and length would bother Curry a little bit. And then he went on to say that he thinks he could limit Steph Curry to under 20 points. So when asked about those comments, it seems as though he was feeling some sort of way about it. When Steve Kerr was asked about it, Steve Kerr was on that Bulls team, and now he's coaching this Warriors team. So he's kind of like, man, that was my legacy back then, but then I'm coaching this team's legacy now. And so when he was asked about it, he said, first of all, it's a really hard question to answer. Not because you're comparing eras, but literally it's tough for me to answer grammatically because I don't know who we is and who they are. I'll just say if the two teams play each other, there's no question we can beat us and they can beat them. For example, if you actually put the teams in a hypothetical game, my guess is the Bulls would be called for 1 million handshake fouls, and we would be called for 1 million illegal defenses when we overloaded the strong side. So the game would take like 6 hours because the rest would be calling stuff all game. It's just hard to determine with 2 different eras and 2 different rule sets. So those comments by Kerr, it's one of those things now that the Warriors, in order to finish to beat the Bulls record, they would have to finish 4-1. But that loss, no, they beat the Blazers last night. So now it's 4-1. So now that they beat the Blazers last night, with Steph outdueled Damian Lillard, was a great game to watch. Steph dropped 39, Damian Lillard dropped 38. But now they just have to go 4-1 the rest of the season. They played San Antonio twice. They played Memphis Grizzlies twice, and I forgot who else they play. Actually, I have it right here.
The Rockets?
No, they play San Antonio at home.
Yeah, they play San Antonio at home. They play Minnesota. Play Minnesota on Tuesday.
That's right.
They play Minnesota too, and they have no more back-to-back. So they would play Minnesota on Tuesday, San Antonio on Thursday at home. Then Saturday, actually no, that is there's one more back-to-back. They play Memphis Saturday night, and then Sunday they would play San Antonio at San Antonio, and then Memphis again to finish out the season on next Wednesday. So with the way that schedule is looking, what do you guys think? First, well, what do you guys think about Scottie Pippen's comments and about them sweeping the Warriors and then him holding Steph Curry to under 20 points? Rashad, I'll start with you. What do you think about his comments?
Scottie Pippen. That is some reckless talk there. That is some reckless talk. You're not gonna sweep this. You're not gonna sweep this Rockets team. I mean, this Warriors team. You're not gonna limit a jump shooter to 20 points because he shoots his shots and make his shots contested. You're not Jimmy Butler. And the fact that you don't play the whole game and stop him, somebody else is going to guard him eventually. I give Jimmy Butler for playing the whole game, yeah. Because like I said, I give him credit for constantly in the game. So you're not going to be guarding him the whole game. So if you're not in the game, who's going to stop Curry? And you have other people on this team who's just as talented as those players in the Bulls are. Those role players for the Bulls, same thing as role players for Warriors. You can't cover everybody at the same time. Granted, that team had Michael Jordan. That team was great. All their losses, 4 of their losses in their record season was by 1 point. So you're looking at that as easily 76 wins. So I'm looking at this team like, yeah, that Bulls team was great. This Warrior team is a great team, great fundamental team that can shoot. Teams couldn't shoot like this back then, not to this level. So I'm looking at it like there's gonna be no sweeping. You're not gonna hold Steph Curry every night to under 20 points. That's a big goal in itself. And if you do, that's gonna take a lot of energy from you. So who else is gonna score with Jordan? I don't see him. So for his comments, he's not sweeping this team, and he's not holding Steph Curry under 20 points every night.
Okay, Khalid, what do you think?
No, I don't think they could sweep, but I definitely think they can win the series. Thing is, like what Steve Kerr said, those are 2 different eras and 2 different teams. The Warriors is the Bulls of our day with their just excitement and the way they're just winning. And the Bulls back then had such they was such a great team, and the rules back then were much more lenient than they are nowadays. Fouls are called much easier nowadays than they were back then. So I do think that game, those the matchups between them, or even like a 7-game series, it would be kind of iffy because of certain rules and stuff like that. If we had the rules back then I definitely think the Bulls would overcome them in like 5 games or so, because they're more accustomed to that, and they can get away with more calls that could be things that could be called this nowadays, rather than them being fouls with their defense and stuff like that. But then nowadays with it being more lean, I mean not lean, more strict, that it wouldn't really work out for them that much. So if it was the rules these days, I can see them going on to a game 7, with Steph Curry's amazing shooting, and with the whole team just being a great shooting team, and them being with their small ball type of play. And going against bigger teams, bigger and taller teams, they know how to score efficiently and still get everybody to be a part of the team. So I do think that they may have a couple advantages over the Bulls because they play accustomed to them, but the Bulls are just more aggressive and they're much more resilient.
Okay, let me get to Rudy. Rudy, what do you think?
I want to find out who Scottie Pippen's supplier is, because whoever it is, he's a great drug man. They would not sweep this team. I just don't see it happening whatsoever. The Warriors have too many weapons and are too deep to be swept by anyone, really. Period. Great confidence. You got to have confidence in your team and what your team did back in the day. But no, you would not sweep this team. You would not hold Steph to under 20 points on a consistent average throughout the entire series. There's one thing for length and whatnot. Like he said, my length would bother him. There's another thing for quickness. Fast doesn't lie. And Steph's going to run past you every time. He's going to run past you. He's going to bring you back, and you're going to be looking like Kawhi Leonard out there going in circles.
Tell me why I was thinking about that, though.
Exactly.
Tell me why I was thinking about that.
So, when you put a bigger defender on Steph, no matter how great of a defender he is, Steph is going to be quicker than him and have more agility than that guy. So, no, he would not hold him under 20 points throughout the series. No, they would not sweep them. I'm in line with Khalid to say they could win the series, but they would not sweep them.
Yeah, the sweep thing is what kills me. But here's one little interesting thing to me, because, excuse me, are we talking in lines with the rules of this NBA, like this current NBA, or the rules that they play with back then?
That's the thing that changes it.
I don't think that changes that much, because yeah, these players learn how to play with these rules, but put Draymond Green back in that time period. Let him be physical like Dennis Rodman and stuff was physical back then. I mean, Andrew Bogut, he's not that person, but put Draymond Green in that time, and then I mean, the rules doesn't really affect Steph Curry or Klay Thompson because of how great of outside shooters they are, and you can look at someone like a Larry Bird and stuff like that. But yeah, like you said, going to the basket, they're gonna get cleaned. But think about it. Don't you think if they know that's going to happen, there'd be a lot more floaters from Steph Curry, more so than scoop layups, instead of getting that close? You know what I'm saying? Because you back then, what you can and can't do. Jordan, he can't go in there for a sweet layup. He got to go up there and rise up on people because he's going to get cleaned if he don't. Patrick Ewing's always there waiting for you. You know what I'm saying? He ain't moving for nothing. So that's when you have players like this who develop the floater now, who can use that. And so since they're such great outside shooters, you can hand check them, but at the same time, if you're still touching them, if you're still hand checking them while they shoot the ball, they're gonna get a foul call. So I don't feel like the errors play an advantage to certain teams, but at the same time, I feel like the errors would affect the Bulls playing in this era more than it would affect the Warriors playing in their era.
Because the reason why the error thing, it's interesting because I just looked up the series when Steph and them played the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Steph was held under 20 just for one game in that 6-game series. And then one game he was held to 22. But, that's Matthew Dellavedova and the rest of the team checking him. But it's a weird thing for me because a lot of the case that these old players make for how they would guard Stephen Curry back in the day, they would guard him full length of the court. They would because back then you can grab guys a lot more than you could now when they're coming on screen. They say they would just wear Steph Curry down. And while I don't believe that they would sweep them, but I do believe the rules affect how each, like Steph, like Steve Kerr said, the fact that you can run, like they would probably get called for all these illegal defenses because they play the Bulls a certain way rather than just playing them straight up man. So
see, I have a question. What is I don't understand this illegal defense thing.
Because think about zones, all these different zones and stuff.
So they'd be like, wait a minute, you can't do that. Something like that in a sense.
I guess so.
That's
I mean,
too smart.
Because because he basically ran pretty much man everywhere.
So all the zones and stuff they run, they get called for legal defense. But I mean, that's
Oh no.
That's essentially, I guess, what he's talking about because.
Because honestly, with that, you put the Warriors in a 2-3 zone, which most teams never seen. Like you said, like they haven't seen. Which you never know. They may say, yeah, you can't do that. But if they can, who's really that great of a knockdown shooter on that team? That Bulls team.
Kerr.
Other than Kerr, and Kerr came off the bench sometimes.
Kerr's coaching.
So yeah, but who basically came off the bench really, or started? I'm not gonna say Ron Harper was a shooter. I mean, Jordan can knock him down occasionally, but
yeah, exactly. He's not the Bulls shorts on with a blazer and a polo shirt. He doesn't know what he wants to do.
Like, I don't know.
One dress shoe, one Jordan.
He's just like, I'm here so I don't get fined.
Exactly. One point that I do have to make about this though, if we're talking about that era and how tough it was and how they would guard people and all that, there's one argument I want to make in Steph's case, in this whole Warrior team's case. There's a little guy by the name of Allen Iverson who played in this era, who got guarded by them and dropped 25 on Mike's head as a rookie. And it's not even arguable. It's fact that Stephen Curry is a more efficient scorer than Allen Iverson is. And he has the handle.
And he can do it in different ways.
Exactly. He does it in way different ways. He's way more efficient from the field than Allen Iverson was. So you're talking about, yeah, we're going to do this to him and this to him. Look at Allen.
But here's the case. Can we say, because I mean, coming from Allen Iverson's background and stuff, can we say he was, you know what I'm saying, more fearless and stuff?
Yeah, I said
because he attacked the basket like he was like 7 foot.
Oh yeah, he was more fierce than Steph. What I'm saying is one of the things that got Mike, he crossed Mike. He legit crossed Mike, had him doing the whole body turn. So he crossed Mike. Stephen Curry has the moves to do that. He's quicker than Scottie Pippen. He's quicker than Michael Jordan, and he has the moves to do that. And he's a way better shooter than Allen Iverson was. And here's the thing: back then, you didn't have many guys going behind the back through the legs, dribbling around somebody in a circle and pulling up for three. These guys are standing behind the 3-point arc with their hand out to guard you, and you can't do that against Steph. You have to be right here. You have to be in here, like you have to smell what he ate for breakfast. That's what you have to like. You have to have 3 people in a triangle around Stephen Curry to make sure he didn't score, and then you're leaving Klay Thompson open.
Hey, and you know what's crazy? Like
they just said they put Michael Jordan on Klay Thompson. That's what Scottie said.
I mean, technically he ain't got to do as much because Klay Thompson doesn't do as much as Steph Curry do. But at the same time, I still feel Klay Thompson gonna get some of his shots off because at the same, you still got to focus on Steph Curry. Like Steph, I mean, Scottie Pippen is a great defender. Yeah. But at the same time, you still got to watch Steph Curry because, I mean, he can blow by Scottie Pippen. But like kind of what you're saying with the crossover thing, like they've never seen stuff like that. Think about it. Allen Iverson's killer crossover was the most simplest crossover. It was the most simplest. It was a cock it this way, fake going that way. Yeah, it was the beginning of the crossover and came back. And they got everybody.
It's not like they hadn't seen the handle on stuff before.
What you talking about? Allen Iverson's killer crossover?
I mean, Tiny Archibald had handles like that. I mean,
like who?
Like Allen Iverson and like
no, but I mean,
Kyrie and stuff like that. Archibald, there's been guys before AI. I mean, we remember Jordan getting crossed up on that individual play, but they seen guys with that handle before.
So you know, but it was his thing. That was what Allen Iverson did to cross everybody up. Was the same killer crossover, either left or do it right. He was so crazy, he could do it both ways. And with that, he could hesitate and just keep going straight and blow by people that way. And it's kind of like how Jamal Crawford is now. Nobody can do that behind the back, bringing back around. Pro hop jump, and like everybody's seen it, and they still can't stop it. It's something like that. It's like, yeah, you have people who do stuff like it before. I mean, except that I've never seen nobody else do that other than Jamal Crawford. But like you've seen people do like the killer crossover, but not to the extent that Allen Iverson done it. And it's the same thing with Steph Curry. Like we've seen people have handles, but you haven't seen people at the extent of Steph Curry.
Because I feel as though, to a degree, we're kind of underrating Scottie Pippen. Because even though Steph is quick, Scottie Pippen is arguably the best wing defender of all time. And we're kind of because we're just saying, yeah, he's going to blow right by him. And we're kind of underrating how good of a defender Scottie was. Like Scottie was a great defender.
But do you think they was in the same conditioning they are now, like the players are now?
Well, the thing is, they was taking the 95, 96 Bulls, which is basically with their prime. So
Yeah,
they would be taking their prime against what Stephen Curry and their prime right now. So I think at those pivotal times, it's, I think Scottie would be, like you said, he's the best, one of the best wing defenders, arguably the best. So I think at the prime of their game, they probably would be able to keep up with Stephen Curry as prime.
But I mean, can we say the same thing with Draymond Green, one of the best wing defenders and perimeter defenders in the game right now?
What about him?
I mean, just he can guard Jordan. I mean, Jordan's still gonna get his buckets. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna say you're gonna strap Jordan, but he can guard Jordan. So think about it. If Jordan was how their team went, Jordan was averaging 30.
Now this man Jordan, he is arguably the best scorer.
He is, but I mean,
I see that's the thing, because I mean I don't think we're debating whether they would win or not here.
We're debating. Are we debating where Scottie Pippen can hold this man to under 20? Is that what we're debating right now?
For the entire series.
Yeah, because I don't. Because that's the thing. Draymond Green can't check Michael Jordan, bro.
You don't think you check him at all?
He could. I mean, he's somebody in front of him. He's
But
I mean, this man went up against Scottie Pippen every day in practice.
You're right,
And-
but at the same time,
man-
like
Michael Jordan is something different, bro.
he was something different.
Something different.
But I mean, we've seen Draymond Green check the best of who it is right now. And just like you say, I'm sure Draymond Green goes against Steph Curry in practice, and that's a tall task in itself.
You're right. But guarding Stephen Curry and guarding Michael Jordan is two entirely different beats.
It is,
It's
but
two entirely different. And we saw what LeBron James did to them. I've seen
LeBron
Michael
James
Jordan
in check too by Draymond Green.
He had 6 games to check LeBron. LeBron averaged over 35 points. He averaged over 35 against the whole team. He was by himself. He averaged over 35 points against the whole team. Now imagine Michael Jordan. LeBron's bigger and more athletic than Michael, but Michael's the better scorer by far.
Travels a lot too.
Come on. You said LeBron.
But this is how I feel about it. I mean, he averaged 30, but a lot of those defenders he went against aren't as.
And I would bet that Michael would most likely be guarded by Klay Thompson as opposed to Draymond Green.
You're right.
But
when they go small ball, I feel like then Draymond Green have to guard Dennis Rodman or something like that.
Yeah,
but I mean, you don't have to really feel like, because Dennis Rodman wasn't that great of an offensive threat. More so he was his defense.
Yeah, he got buckets by scoring on putbacks. That's how Dennis Rodman got his buckets. So you would still have to be concerned about that.
You're banging on the post all day.
Yeah, like Dennis Rodman was a grinder. Like that man had a motor that was unrivaled. It was something that was special. He might be one of the great, like people talk about greatest rebounders of all time. He's one of the greatest rebounders, honestly, top 3 rebounders of all time. He had that great of a motor. And it's weird because I don't know, when you look at the matchups of it, Steph would get guarded by either Ron Harper, Steve Kerr, his own coach, and then Scottie said he would guard him. Actually, Scottie said he would guard him, and then it's a Klay Thompson Michael Jordan matchup, in which Michael Jordan is another. He's the defensive player of the year. He was a former defensive player of the year for his wing defense. And then, not to say Klay's a scrub on defense, Klay can guard the best one, but I've even seen Klay guard Kobe, and this is Kobe in his 30s.
But I mean, Kobe in his 30s was still cooking.
Exactly. And you're telling me you're giving me a Michael Jordan in his prime.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
And this is a question for you, because even with that lineup, you're going to run into a problem here. If Scottie's on Steph, right, and Mike is on Klay, who is Steve Kerr on? Did you just take it? Or did you just take him out the lineup? Because if you put him on Draymond, that's.
I saw.
If he guards Harrison Barnes, that's probably his best option. But I mean,
I saw one thing they did that a lot of teams have done with Draymond. They've kind of relegated Draymond to being a lesser threat. So pretty much teams have said, if we're going to lose, let Draymond Green shoot threes, but just break the sagging to paint on him. Like when they lost to the Spurs, that's exactly what the Spurs did. They gave Draymond Green the open space to shoot. They're like, if he's going to knock him down, let him knock him down. It's not going to be that Steph guy. It's not going to be Klay. That's essentially, I guess that's how they would guard him, because
times are different though. You don't remember, like you say, they don't really think like that, because that's kind of like running in a sense like a zone in a sense.
That's shortchanging. I think that's kind of shortchanging the Bulls. Like, we're not giving them credit.
It's disrespecting Draymond.
But I'm saying just because I mean, even back then they knew when guys could shoot or couldn't shoot.
No, I'm saying that brand of defense isn't like a zone. It's just like looking at you. Like, I mean, I know
you
can't
sacking
shoot.
off. It's like how teams guard Rajon Rondo.
I don't feel like teams back then used to do that. I feel like teams took pride in I'm stopping my man no matter what. I'm on him everywhere he goes, type stuff.
They took pride in it, but at the same time, each player knew their own individual limits. And Ron Harper was a good wing defender. So, I mean, he was a good wing defender. So even him guarding Draymond would be something, but he would just be undersized guarding Draymond. But even in that sense, like that, I think sometimes as we think of these old eras, I mean, we think of them as like the Stone Ages. I mean, this is 1995. I mean, that's what, 20 years ago.
You see those shorts?
I mean, come on, it's not.
Hey, shout out to the Fat Five bringing the long shorts.
It's like it's one of those things that I just don't think we credit the old generation. Like we think this new generation is like has it all, because I mean they've seen it all, they've done it all. But there's a reason why this old generation was so, like, these guys were so great.
Yeah,
and they're going down. They've been down in history for so many years.
I have a solution to this problem. Get both starting fives together. Warriors aren't allowed to take threes. Make them play right now. You got it.
Come on. There we go.
See, now, like,
Michael Jordan's just now getting good at this GM thing, so he's probably playing basketball the whole time.
I don't want to feel like I'm discrediting the Bulls, because I mean that Bulls is the record holder right now. They're a dynasty, but at the same time, we can't discredit the Warriors because they're dynasty forming right now.
No, we can't discredit the Warriors.
Like we're sitting making so many cases why how the Bulls are so good, but we also got to look at how the Warriors are.
Yeah, and
good at what they do as well.
You just made those cases.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying I just
made those cases.
I just want everybody to see, like, I'm not trying to discredit them. I'm just trying to, trying to support the case for both sides as well. Like you do have the, I'm saying how great Scottie Pippen, Ron Harper, and Jordan was at wing defender, which is what the Warriors is the best at, is their wing play. But at the same time, they have stuff that can get cause trouble for the Bulls. Because I mean, the Bulls were beatable as well. We can't sit here and say they was unbeatable. I mean, they were 6-0 in the finals and stuff like that. Never went to a game 7 and stuff like that.
Bro.
That is
where you going, yo?
Never went to. I'm just saying, like, never went to a game 7 and all. But just because they went to a game 7, mean they been to game 6s. So I'm saying the team, they're beatable. You know what I mean?
But they never lost in the finals.
I mean,
they haven't.
The Warriors
haven't either. But
you're right.
So the Warriors,
but I mean, the Warriors only won
LeBron. Yeah, they played LeBron, and that was it.
Which right now, what everybody was talking. Well, he's not the same LeBron he was back then. But
no,
we can sit here and say everybody was trying to compare LeBron to Jordan at one point. So LeBron was basically our Jordan. So after this, like, Kobe, you're done.
I don't know.
I mean, that's you can't say here and say. I mean, I don't agree with it, but Brittany,
I think Kobe drew more Michael Jordan comparisons than LeBron.
But I mean,
I think Kobe drew him.
Analysts used to be quick to say he's the next LeBron.
Well,
he's the next Jordan.
Coming out of high school,
even when
he was calling himself the chosen one.
Yeah, even then.
In his first 7 years in Cleveland, they were like, well, Jordan. They were comparing his career to Jordan, but then I feel as though, especially once Kobe won the 5th championship, because Kobe's always been the one that garnered the. I feel like the question, because you can't really compare LeBron and Jordan's play styles because
they're not the same. But you compare Kobe and Jordan.
Yeah, so Kobe always has drawn more comparisons to Jordan than LeBron. I feel like people just compare LeBron to Jordan in the sense of where their careers were at this point. Like after the 7 years in Cleveland, people were like, "Well, LeBron doesn't have a ring. Jordan didn't have a ring in his first 7 years either." Then the next year he lost to Dallas, and then they were like, "Well,
Jordan didn't lose.
Jordan won. Yeah, Jordan won that ring." So that kind of. I don't think LeBron has exactly. I think people have more so kind of been like, okay, look, you're not that guy. You're not him. But we can compare you to Magic, and we can compare you to Scottie, and we can compare you to guys like that, whereas they will compare like a pure Kobe kind of guy to Jordan. I mean, Kobe is the embodiment of this era's Michael Jordan. To the 5 rings, the scoring championships, all that, the competitive will, all that is this. Because I think that's one thing that people have also scaled off for LeBron. They're like, well, we don't see that fire in you as much as we see in Kobe and Michael. But I do understand what you're saying, because if people will be quick to make the case for, because I mean, we've even been on the show before. We made the Warriors case, but then a lot of people will make the case for the Bulls.
Yeah,
but I think we're making the case for the Bulls because are we going to pick the Warriors to win the series?
No.
Exactly.
No one said that.
And that's the thing. That's the reason why we're making the case for the Bulls, because nobody's going to pick the Warriors to win a 7-game series against the Bulls.
I would pick it. I feel like that could be the team that gives them an actual run for. I mean, look at this. Like nobody, like you said, nobody in that era really gave the Bulls a run for their money. Well, back in that, they're in the dynasty age. Like you said, Jordan took a while to win, but after he started winning, nobody really gave him any worries. And I feel like the Warriors could be that team. I think that'd be their first finals game 7.
So you would pick the Warriors to beat the Bulls.
I have to see how the first game goes. You
can't give me this. You gotta just tell me, would you pick the Warriors to beat the Bulls? You can't talk about how the game. Would you pick the Warriors to beat the Bulls?
Because I mean, yes, I would, because just the way they the way they shoot is you can't no matter where you put them at, like you can't like change the way a team shoots. When a whole team can shoot, you can't really change that, and that's why the Celtics were so successful too. You just can't stop shooters at the points, and I don't until I see the Bulls can like, oh snap, they really just strap shooters who create their own shot. Then yeah, but as of right now, like speculation, I can kind of see the Warriors can win this game in game 7. It's just,
what do you gentlemen think?
I think that the Bulls will probably win. I do think it will go 7. I think the Warriors would be the first team to take them to a 7. I think the Bulls would win just because the teams are great. Both of the teams are great. Well, one team has Mike.
Yeah, and I mean, he's not going. He's hungry.
That's the thing. Like you have the best player of all time on your team, so it's hard for me to say that they would lose. But both teams are great in their own right. And I actually wanted to ask the question because it was asked earlier, but I don't think any of us answered. Do any of us here think that the Warriors are going to beat that record with that schedule that they have left?
Oh yeah, never did.
Well, Kyler, who do you think is going to win first?
Definitely the Bulls. I agree because I said earlier they would go to a game 7. They would definitely give them a run for their money, but like Rudy said, one team has Michael Jordan on it.
Yeah,
which is the best player of all time. So just his amazing scoring ability, his versatility, and his aggression on defense it just makes him a whole thing, just a whole force to be reckoned with. And for the Warriors team, to be going up against that, it's just. I do think that the Bulls would just beat them. They would beat them in that end.
Before you say something, Brendan, it all depends how the Warriors finish the season. If they finish 73 wins, Warriors, because they got home court advantage. They got home court advantage.
Well, I would have to pick the Bulls.
So I'm a lone man here.
I just don't think anybody could check this man, Michael Jordan. And while the Warriors are great, there is something to be said about guys because Cleveland took these guys to 6 games. And now this isn't the same Warriors team, but we saw the greatness of one player. He took role players to the finals, bench players, and took them 6 games. Like, there really are bench players. I'm dead serious. And he took them to 6 games. And even like in Cleveland, it wasn't like they ran some sophisticated zone or anything. They beat up their man. They trapped Stephen Curry coming off a screen. Then Matthew Dellavedova did his job and guarded Steph. And I feel as though these are the Bulls have the strong 2 of the biggest competitors in NBA history, and Michael Jordan and Scott. And these guys prided themselves on not letting their man score. So you could talk about hand checking and all that, but even regardless of hand checking, these guys can still defend. It's not like they're just whole time you're not going nowhere, and they're just holding your hand.
Where you going?
They took pride in their defense. Like, they take pride in it. Like, we talk about Kawhi Leonard, how good a defender he is. Remember Scottie Pippen from back then, man. You want to talk about length and all that? Boy could defend. And Mike is just Mike. And we're looking over the rest of the team, like guys like Horace Grant and the rest of them dudes, Dennis Rodman. These are also guys who are also great players. So, and that size right there, that it's not like that this Warriors team is going to walk into a team that the big men didn't do anything. You want to talk about Draymond Green, there's another guy on the other side that has the same motor. So I feel as though that would definitely give them a run for them. The Warriors would test them because of their shooting ability, but I just feel as though at some point when it comes to end of the game, I feel like it'll come down to a lot of end of the game situations. And my odds of getting this guy to score, of getting Michael to score, in turn of getting Steph to score, to me, would be the difference in the game. Because Michael don't need no pick.
He don't need no pick, but Steph Curry don't need a pick either.
You're right. But if you're telling me Steph don't need a pick over Scotty's outstretched hand, I'll take Michael going to the basket.
We've seen that. No, we've seen that on Anthony Davis for a game winner or overtime.
No, we have seen it. We have seen it. But I'm saying in a consistent series, you want to keep taking that shot. I'll take Michael going to the basket. That's what I'll take. I'll take. Like I said, I'll take the layup over the 3-point shot. And it just happens because I know it's going to be contested. With no pick, Scotty's going to be all over that, man. It's not like these things where these guys are watching him dribble up the court. Scotty will be all over that, man. So I I just take that. That's just my personal preference. As far as the 73 games go, honestly, it depends if San Antonio rests their guys. That's what it comes down to me. If San Antonio is like, you know what? You're not breaking no record on us. We refuse. Not today. We're the last hope. We're the last line of defense. And honestly, because it's a back-to-back, that Memphis game could be a little stunner too, because they're playing in Memphis. So because it's a back-to-back, you never know. But I mean, what do y'all think?
I think they might break. I don't know. I think they can break the record. Then again, like you said, the Spurs, they the ones that's gonna hold them down. And then them playing the Spurs and then Memphis right after that is definitely that's gonna like wear them out. So I can see them winning if they can overcome Memphis in that first game. And I mean not Memphis, San Antonio.
No, Memphis is the first game.
Oh,
It's Memphis Spurs, Memphis Spurs.
Oh, it is Memphis Spurs, Memphis Spurs.
Yeah,
But
it's
I'm talking about
No, Memphis is the last game of the season. It's gonna be Timberwolves, then Spurs, then Memphis, and then the Spurs are after that. Then it's Memphis again.
and they play the Spurs and Memphis for like the last two games in in Golden State.
They play the Spurs. The Spurs. The last time they play the Spurs is going to be in San Antonio. The last game they play against Memphis is going to be in Golden State.
That'd be beautiful to bring the record in at home.
Yeah, that's. Now I think about it, I don't think they can. Like that.
If they lose the game to the Spurs, this first game to the Spurs, then they're not going to get that record because they have to play the Spurs in San Antonio after playing a physical Memphis team the night before. And as you know, as much as the Spurs rest their players getting ready for the playoffs and whatnot, there's still some pride in there from Popovich, and they have that home winning streak that the Warriors don't have anymore. So that would sort of be like a in your face sort of moment to continue that home winning streak and shatter their chances of breaking the record. So I think just as simply as competitors, they wouldn't rest their players for that game, but it all depends on if they get past the Spurs they play them on Wednesday.
I mean, Spurs
they play
they can beat them.
Yeah, exactly. It just depends. If they beat the Spurs on Wednesday, then they'll probably break the record. And if they lose to Spurs on Wednesday, I don't see them breaking the record. And we're honestly disrespecting the Timberwolves.
I was about to say,
I was waiting for you to finish your point because the Timberwolves actually played them really tight the last time they played.
We're honestly disrespecting the Timberwolves.
But it was in Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean,
it was in Minnesota.
But the Warriors have lost to some unsuspecting teams this season. They lost to the Lakers. They lost to the Bucks.
So all those teams were away.
That's true, but what does it take? You know, any given night, what does it take for Wiggins to drop 40 and Karl Anthony Towns have a good game? Like things like this happen all the time. So it's really easy for us to just assume they're going to steamroll the Timberwolves, and exactly, and then assume that they're going to steamroll Memphis. But these are still NBA teams, and they're still competitive. And you know, in the back of all their heads, especially the Timberwolves, we don't have anything to play for. We're going to be in the lottery again. We might as well try and ruin this for them.
Yeah. All right, Sean.
I mean, I was thinking about what I said earlier, like when we first brought this up, and I mean, we just did get done comparing this team to the Bulls, so you know this team is great. So this team can go out and be any of these teams any night. So I was sticking right by my decision, saying they're gonna break the record because, I mean, we're talking about how the Spurs can stop it, but we just talked about them versus the Bulls. So obviously they're on a different level than these teams they're playing right now. So I mean, it don't matter where you're playing at. I mean,
They did say when they beat the Bulls that if they got the 73 wins, they'd have home court advantage. So home and away definitely plays factors into that.
That's the Bulls.
I know.
This is Memphis with no Marc Gasol. This is Spurs with possibly players resting.
Possibly.
And you're not going. Okay, that Spurs win. You're not going to have awful shooting nights like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson had that game. Again, if you do that twice, if they do that 2 or 3 times, let's say they do it this game and the last game, Spurs is the greatest team in NBA history.
Really?
Spurs is the greatest. If they do it twice, they're the greatest team in NBA history. It's not happening. It's not happening.
That's something.
And I'll stand by that statement. I'll go buy a Spurs jersey.
If the Spurs win on Wednesday and on Sunday.
No, not win. If they ain't gotta win, they can lose. And they hold them to like they did this last game where the score was 80 something to 70 something or whatever it was. And they don't shoot like that. I'm Browns jersey and wear it in here.
You don't
How have they
think?
been holding teams?
You
Below
know what,
90?
guys? We don't got the time. We don't have the time. We just gotta go. We gotta go on. We don't have the time to even address it. But we're gonna go on to baseball.